Record. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, whenever you hear this. We are recording this on a video, and that'll be out on social media. This is Dave Emmons, Dave Emmons Show, and it's WODY Radio, and that's out of Maryland. And it's Odyssey Radio.live if you're looking it up on the website. But we're syndicating through the radio station WODY, and we're doing our own video here, that in which will be separate from the radio because they just do the audio. We like having you around, and I have a great guest today. And if you're familiar with Billy Meier in Europe, and I think it's Switzerland or Germany, somewhere like that. He speaks German, I know that, but he's got some fascinating stories. But the guy that's representing him now, and a guy that's been a science researcher for 40 years, he's got about 5 movies out, documentaries. He's got several books out on Amazon, and we'll talk about how you can get a hold of those books and those movies on his website or on Amazon. But his name is Michael Horn. And this guy, I've heard his name a lot in my past history of looking up ETs and UFOs, since I'm involved in that also. I've got a book out myself, But this guy has got a lot of research. And one of the stories I want to read you that fascinated me, that he was interrogated for 3 months by the U.S. military intelligence in January 2017. So if the military thinks you have something of value, they're going to talk to you. So Michael Horn has something of value that they were after. So he received an unexpected phone call from a gruff-sounding man, and his name was Joe, and he was an investigator. He minced no words and said he happened upon Michael's research into the Meier contacts online. So they were really interested in Michael's work and his research with Billy Meier, and he's done some, I guess. He was a former high level investigator. This guy this Joe was, for the U.S. Air Force, and that's the Air Force usually gets involved in these types of things. Also, Billy Meier, when he started, I believe he was 27 years old at that time in 1964. He was beginning with his earliest UFO evidence from 1964 in India. So we've got everything going on here. He has an album of 80 UFO photos, and we're going to show you some of those pretty soon. And he's gotten the attention of the military, of course, and a lot of people. He's gotten my attention in the past with his research. Michael, is something of a legend, you can say, in the ET field. That's what I'll have to call him. He's a legend. Just like there's quite a few people who haven't been to that level where he's at, but he's actually seen things and wrote about things and made movies. And he's like I said, director and producer, writer, and over 40 years of all this. And he does a lot of work with the Billy Meier, and also Billy Meier also does a lot of, predictions. And we're going to get into some of the predictions that he's got. Michael Horn knows a lot about those predictions. I got some stuff here that I've got some notes on, and we'll be talking to Michael Horn about it. And my special guest here on WODY Radio is Michael Horn. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Dave. How are you? And thank you for inviting me to speak about Billy Meier and his evidence.
Right, and we're going to get into. I didn't know he did predictions. I guess the ETs were giving him this information, and he met them in person, right?
Well, actually, I'll fill in some things that aren't known for the most part by many people. His contacts began when he was 5 years old. That's in 1942 in Switzerland. And these were face-to-face, wide awake contacts. They have continued now for over 80 years with different people, primarily from one race, but several others that have been involved. He is the source of the most abundant, specific, and prophetically accurate information in history, far exceeding anybody or anything we know of, including Nostradamus and all of that. And the prophecies and predictions that he has himself brought forward, that the extraterrestrials are called Plejaren, people have given and presented to him are unparalleled, voluminous information. And we are right now in our world seeing the long foretold events unfolding, unfortunately, as we were warned they would if we did not change our ways as humankind.
Right. I read some of the predictions, and it he also talks about the virus that we've just had to tend to here the last couple of years, the coronavirus, and he also talked about the monkeypox virus that's coming along. And there's always going to be one virus following another. There's a plan, I guess, involved in this, and I wonder if the ETs have talked to him about a plan, about a new world order.
Well, these are separate things, actually. In this information, and I want to just kind of make sure that, pardon me, your listeners and viewers understand, there are things in this information that we, meaning a number of other people, and I have been able to prove to a scientific and legal standard, not debatable. And anybody can do that. We're not the only people who could do that. The information is there, and I can explain how to do it. But the coronavirus, what we are calling today COVID-19, was specifically warned about in Meier's material dating back to the 1940s. The extraterrestrials gave him the specific information, and if what he has said is accurate involving time travel, they brought him forward to these times where he would and could observe what was and is happening now. And they gave the actual genesis. This is not something created by Anthony Fauci and Bill Gates. This is something that was created primarily initiation of two very, very prominent people in the world going back to the 1970s. And those two people, according to this information, were the former leader of China, Mao Zedong, and a former and humiliated American named Richard Nixon, who brought the idea to Mao Zedong in the mid 1970s after he, Nixon, had been humiliated and basically forced out of the presidency. All of this is explained in some nice detail in this freely available information. Now, Meier warned that the first public flare-up, if you will, of this virus, which would be modified over time and was not released by the Chinese government, not deliberately. There were two releases, and they were both accidents, and they were both from labs in China. So the first one, and Meier warned about it in 1975. I mentioned this in a CBS TV interview that I did in 2020. The first one he warned about, as far back, I think it was as in the 1989, but certainly 1995. And that was what became known as SARS. And that then did erupt, it did appear in 2003 and all of that. And then, of course, the specific warning about this, and that it would be released accidentally by scientists working on this virus in the Wuhan lab, as it took place in 2019, I think it was the actual date.
Yeah.
So the information we have, and we have dozens of specific advance warnings about the manifestation. I'm about to publish a blog today because back as far as June 1st, they warned again that there was a new variant that was coming that was going to be very aggressive in its spreading. It would be not necessarily more virulent than Omicron, but it would spread rapidly. And then today, the announcement was made that now the so-called new variant is present in New York. Wherever you turn in the Meier material, we are ahead of the CDC, the WHO, et cetera, et cetera. And that's why this information is largely suppressed and why everybody doesn't have the name Billy Meier on their lips. So there's quite a bit here, plus all of the geopolitical things that are going on, the war, and those activities that are going on in Eastern Europe, specifically foretold for decades. We've been publishing those warnings for years and years, and now it's upon us, and it's going to lead to some very bad things for our country.
So the ETs, I guess that's all Nordics. We'll show a picture. Let me see if I think I got Billy Meier here. Let's check this out. I do a wider screen. Okay, that's not going to be the one that's going to come up, I don't think.
No,
No,
probably
that's
not.
not that's not that one. Let's see here. Okay, that's what they look like. Is it?
No,
That's not
no,
what they look like. Uh,
no. These things, the so-called Nordics and all of that, these are basically based on New Age and government disinfo so that people will not find the Billy Meier material. I could probably bring up some images and then do a screen share if you want.
yeah,
I can
we could
try to
probably.
work on that if you do. You want me to work on that while we speak?
Yeah, that'd be fine. I got this image here. I got off a page that Billy Meier they had, and I thought this was one of his.
No, that wouldn't be a Billy Meier page, but it's okay. I can find for you while we talk about these things. I'll definitely find some images of that are drawings of the actual people involved,
Yes,
and I just have to find
no, that's not.
exactly where those would be.
I'm not. That's not the one I'm getting. Yeah, so it's
Let me see what you've got there. No, that's all
yeah, that's the same
the
one.
New Age
Yeah,
nonsense.
yeah. Let me see if I can do this one. There. That's one of the drawings of. Is that
That's
so?
better. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
a drawing of the actually third contact person that Meyer began to meet with in 1975, who went by the name Semjaze, Semjase,
right.
Semjaze. And she is the person who had him use the strange screen name Pleiadians, which of course there are no such things as Pleiadians because there's no life in the Pleiades. But they knew already for some time that there would be quite a bit of disinformation and attempts to get people to chase their tails in ufology.
Now these ETs, they time traveled apparently because it was telling him what's going to happen in the future.
And
And
they've taken
yeah,
him.
yeah. Now I got a picture of Billy Meier up there, and can you see that there? He was born on 3 February 1937.
Yes.
He's a
And
cult. What's a cult leader and author? Why'd they call him a cult?
now that's what Wikipedia tries to do to discredit him. And that's because, see, here's the thing, and we simply we put up with it, if you will. Billy Meier has maintained voluntary face-to-face contacts with human beings for over 80 years. He's the only person on Earth who's actually in ongoing contacts with extraterrestrials. So I'm going to be able to, I think, show you if I can get to this here.
Okay.
Oops, that's yours. Let me show you. You cannot. Your other program is sharing. If you want me to try to share, because I've got a page with some images.
Okay.
So I guess you would have to stop your share for the moment. And let me just see if I can then get up this sharing for the audience. So you'd have to get rid of.
Yeah, I'm trying to get rid of that. Yeah.
And in the meantime, what people who are interested will want to know is that there have been decades of ongoing attempts to discredit, attack, suppress, censor the information, and to try to kill Meier himself, which has been an unfortunate thing. Let's see. Let's keep saying I can't share because the other screen is sharing. Well, if that gets cleared up, I'll be able to do it. In
Okay,
the
I'll
meantime, I'll
yeah,
explain
yeah, I'll
for
just
your
run
audience.
through. Yeah, I'll run through my pictures and stop the sharing, and then we'll go over
Sure,
yours. Yeah, uh,
sure.
yeah. This is what you've got. So many. There's so many pictures, so many things to do here that you know. Let's see if this one. That's the same one. There's
Right,
Billy. Okay. Now there's three UFOs uh, that he took pictures of. That was March 1976.
right.
Yeah.
Um, he has taken over 1,200 clear, primarily but not exclusively, daytime UFO photos,
Right.
8 films, and I'll be able also when I do a screen share, I'll be able to show you even clearer images because we have the digitized photos up, and they're pretty mind blowing because as good as the ones you've got here,
Yeah, I took
pardon
those
me,
off of the internet, the book. So, they're
yeah,
not
I can go right to a
yeah,
page and everybody
yeah.
will be able to see them.
Let me run
People,
through these, yeah, and I will show. There's another one. That's the classic one that I've seen throughout a lot of his pictures.
right. So it's what we'd say is a classic UFO, except actually when you look at it, you'll find out that it's far more sophisticated than any UFO photos. You'll see that there are dissimilar metals.
Right.
There's flanging. There are no UFO photos or films or video that are clearer than Meier's. And we have a video where you can see Meier in the video with a UFO in the distance, and then he zooms in on it. So
Wow.
for people
Okay.
that have been subjected to all of the disinformation by UFO skeptics and the great damage done by people in ufology, MUFON, and others, you are being introduced to what you yourself can determine is the singularly authentic UFO contacts of Billy Meier ongoing for 80 years.
Hmm.
And we have charted probably between 200 and 250 up. I mean, as I say, you'll see even
Yeah.
clearer versions of these, but
Yeah. That's
we have
that looks different than the
charted
other one. Yeah.
hundreds of specific error-free, prophetically accurate examples
Wow.
of scientific, environmental, financial, geopolitical, medical information. This is an unparalleled case.
And this one here, Michael, the picture here, it's all these got these knobs around it. It looks like it was parked right there in front of his house.
It was, and he was about 15 feet away from it when he took a couple of these pictures. There are 64 photos of this so-called WC UFO plus the video that I referred to.
Yeah.
So we don't chase lights in the sky. And actually, for
Right.
as much as impressive as all this is, the UFOs are not the most important part. This is a nighttime shot that
It was cold.
can
Yeah.
be, people have dropped it in Photoshop and suddenly they can see the actual background there. And this is, nobody has a reference point for this. People in ufology try to speak glibly about it, but they have there's nobody speaking on UFOs that knows anything at all of value. I'm sorry. I've
Right.
spent 43 years and I ended up focusing, of course, on the Meier material. It's only one with real evidence. So uh, this is a composite.
Yeah.
And I found 9 photos. In the photos, each of the photos from which the composite is made is of a top secret stealth attack plane from the US 1981 interacting with one of the UFOs from the Meier case. Absolutely authenticated.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. And nobody in ufology wants to analyze or look at it except Jaime Muson in Mexico,
Yeah.
who
You can
also
see.
helped to
Yeah.
authenticate.
You
So
can
this
see
is,
the
yeah,
plane here. Yeah. You can see the
yep,
plane
that's the
here.
stealth.
Yeah.
We have a lot, 3 articles up pertain to this and pertain to how important this is for our country
Yeah.
and for our survival.
Now this looks like a picture that looks real to me. I mean, I don't have to be a photo analysis person to it looks real. It looks like he's shooting the picture from a hillside there, and it's overlooking the mountains, and it's right there. I mean,
He took hundreds of them.
yeah, I know. That's why I got so many of them here. That yeah, and there's one that was in the kind of looked like the one that was parked in front of his house. Now, how many different types of ships do they have?
They have a number of different kinds of ships, and they have allowed him to photograph.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
we
guess,
just kind of blanked out there for a little bit. That Zoom does that every once in a while, I guess. So
okay, not a problem. We can keep up with it.
okay,
So,
yeah. So that's the pictures that I had. I think you have
mhm,
more. That's probably more authentic and look better than mine do. That's a fact. But I took these out of the book, out of the internet, so they're kind of second, third, fourth hand, whatever, and they're not
sure.
that you know.
Can you see these?
Yes, I see them. Yes,
Now you get an idea of the clarity.
right. There is a
You
difference
have the
there.
reflection of the tree and the sky in
Right.
the craft. This photo is one of 9 in a series on this alone, where this craft circled the tree. There's many kinds of ships. This is a close-up,
Yeah, yeah. That
greater clarity.
yeah.
These are not models, folks. These are not models. And so, you talk about things like this, and here's another angle on the one we have at the top.
Right.
And here's we talked about the dissimilar metals
Right.
that are viewable in this, and the flanging. So this is a close-up. He may have been in another craft when he shot this. We have 3 or 2 or 3 now, where he's in another craft above Switzerland.
I see an
Here's,
antenna sticking up on this one here. Do
yeah,
they communicate with themselves, or and they use a frequency we cannot locate? Right.
well, the antennas are not necessarily used in the way we would anticipate, because they have highly sophisticated technologies for communication. Plus, they can and do, when necessary, communicate with Meier telepathically. He learned how to do that when he was 5 years old. Now, this is a photo from a film clip. The 2 craft over here in the film are seen to be rotating, and then suddenly they disappear. The tree branch in front is so that people would have a perspective. They would know these are not small models. This is clear. These are less clear. They're in the distance. And this is the kind of stuff that, staggered the poor people in ufology who kept thinking that Billy Meier's using models, a one-armed man in the
Yeah.
60s through 80s. It just didn't happen. Here, again, above Switzerland,
And
may have been taken from.
he had a photo stand in that last picture, right? Was that his photo stand?
That was a tripod
Yeah.
in the foreground with 3 craft
Right.
beyond it. And this is not the kind of a tripod that he could attach any models
Yeah.
to.
He only had one arm because he was in a French Foreign Legion, and he lost it in battle.
No, he lost his arm in a pretty bad bus accident
Okay.
in Turkey.
Turkey. Okay. All
And
right.
that was, I think, 1965, a terrible accident. But here you can see more details on these craft. I mean, this site we have freely available. Here's people
Oh,
who
yeah.
didn't know that the craft would appear in the photo with them, because they're not looking at the sky, and the photographer didn't know either. He was photographing them, and they beamed their craft visible for a fraction of a second, timing it so when the photo was taken. And there are 5 other photographers who've taken the photos. It's not only Billy Meier, but he's taken, obviously, the clearest, most stunning
Right.
photos. I mean, it just is beyond. This is the composite,
Right.
where the plane, that's a stealth. And this
Right.
was done from only 5 of the photos that I found.
Wow.
And here's 5 of them. And here's another. See, here is that tripod in the front. Here's the craft way in the distance.
Yeah.
So now, I don't know. I mean, I wonder if we could actually, if you want, I could see if we could bring up the video.
Yeah. That'd be great. That's what
Let
people like
me-
to see. Yeah.
Let me see if I can do that while we speak. I'll stay on this for a second and just try to figure this out a little bit.
Now, Billy Meier, he talked German, right? And also the ETs, they said they talked German in order to understand him.
Yeah, they speak to him in German.
Right.
People have said, oh, they think extraterrestrials will contact us in language of mathematics or something. But the fact is, if these people are real, if they can travel space and time to get to us, by golly, they could learn German, and they
Right.
did.
Yeah.
So this is, are you able to see this screen?
Yes. 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 I'm able to see it. Yeah. That's good.
All right, I'm going to jump
I,
in a
I'm
little bit.
I'm glad you got some great pictures because my pictures were secondhand out of the WikiLeaks, and that's about
Sure.
all I can get. But with you
Now,
working with Billy, you probably have all this inside information.
well, we've got as good as we can get. Now, this is an old video, 1981. It's not digital. Billy Meier is in the lower right-hand corner. And in the distance, now this will be a little fuzzier because I'm on a full screen as well, but this is freely available. So here Meyer is in the screen because he's setting up to he wants to check the video. Now he's going to go, in a moment, he'll go out of screen. As I say, old video, but just watch.
Right.
And the extraterrestrial man is standing off screen here. He has remote control over his craft, but he's not going to move it. Billy wanted him to move it, but he said, no, we're not going to move it. So what we have here, he's about to zoom in on it. It's going to happen here. He goes back in frame and he turns, he wants to say something to him. And the guy says, no, not going to do that. So now we're going to watch. And if necessary, I can reduce the size, pardon me, size of the screen so you'll be able to see a little more clearly. But this is several hundred yards away. And here he goes and he zooms in.
There it is.
Now I'll do this for 1 second. You'll see that it's a little clearer that way, but I'll be able to show you the photograph from this as well. So this is a video. It's a real tree. It's a tall tree. It has pruning marks on it. Billy Meier has zoomed in and out. Those are mountains and the hillside in Switzerland. So for a moment, now what we'll do is we'll go out of this and we'll try to get back in to our, let's see if we can get there from here. We will, one way or the other, bear with me. We're going to the beam ship gallery again, and I'll be able to show you a photo from that. Probably I'll just scroll to where it is and then we'll zoom in on it. I just want people to know that when people start talking, when Lou Elizondo or anybody starts babbling about UFOs, remember, they have no evidence but grainy tic-tac videos.
Right. Yeah,
Here,
Michael, we're going to take a pause.
sure.
We got three more segments to come up with people, and Michael Horn is doing a great picture expose. He's representing Billy Meier, the famous guy that saw all these craft and met ETs, and it's a great story. I'm really happy to have Michael on with me today, and I hope that everybody gets a chance to see this because these are real. And this is WODY Radio, Odyssey Radio.live. This is Dave. Michael, can you hear me now?
Now I can, yes.
Okay. All righty. All right. We're back. We're back with Michael Harn, and this is WDY Radio, and he's going to tell us a little bit about Billy Meier, the famous Billy Meier, that has been through, I mean, an incredible contact with these ETs. Michael, go ahead and continue your pictures if you got more.
Oh, I'd be glad to. I stopped the share screen, but let me
Okay.
get that back. And we have quite a lot of photos.
Well, that's great. That's
Okay.
what people like. Yes.
Okay, so you can see that now, right?
Yes. Uh huh.
All right, let me just even try and bump that up a little bit and see if we can get a better view. Okay, well, you can see that. Okay, so that's the one I said that is in the video. He took that photo. I think you may have seen him at some point. He holds up the camera. He's photographing what he's seeing there. And this, of course, is the same craft that is, 64 photos of it. So this is nighttime photos from underneath the craft. Let's see how we're doing. This is some other stuff.
What is coming down from it, Michael? Do you know what that is? That
Yeah, they generated, sometimes they would generate some effects with static electricity or what have you. It has nothing to do with their propulsion. They don't use any kind of combustion for propulsion. It's all energetic. This is one of the craft that was landed on the ground. Some of the photos don't have the entire photo, but the orangish yellow things are the screens, the window screens through which he would take photos. And as I said, this is an antenna that's used for other purposes that are not described, but they're not using it the way we would imagine.
Like radio frequencies, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I see some squiggly lines up there. That's some of the energy.
That's another craft that they have small craft. I've seen one of the small craft. They have small craft that they will often send around that can be photographed in photos where the larger craft can be seen. Here, Meier is simply standing in the middle of between some cars, and he has a microphone in his hand. He's trying to record when they generated sounds, but they created a phenomenon here with sparks that were coming all around him. He wasn't harmed by anything. People thought he was whirling something around, but he wasn't, because if you take a look at the, if you take a look and blow up the photo, his hand is stationary. This stuff indicates like swirling energetics that are throwing off, maybe static electricity, but he's not moving. So
yeah, I can see his legs right there. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just standing still, holds the microphone up, and he's catching the sound that's occurring. Here's a close-up, ostensibly photographed. There's controversy about whether there were model cars used or not. Now here, this is really important because remember, we talked about this object. People think it's a hoax. It's a gold model against a black curtain, except if anybody takes the photo, you can take it right off the internet, drop it into Photoshop, and you adjust the brightness and the contrast. And now you will see a large object with an energetic field around it, hovering over a gravel road with a grass here. There's a grassy hillside, and one of those meter-high marking posts that are along the roads and highways in Switzerland.
Right.
And we actually have two photos because somebody else did the same thing. Theirs came out, energy field, the whole thing, just a little different colorations. But this is this. In reality, that is photographed at night with generating its own energy, which then had the ship illuminated. There was no light on it. There's no.
So when you see a ship with bright lights, that's energy that it's producing in order to travel, right?
In these photos, but not necessarily to travel. They can have their ships appear without any light or with light. There's a whole series of photos that are very interesting. Here's another. Here's one. This is a very famous shot because when this was examined, this is one of the earlier shots. It's called the sunlight photograph. And upon magnification, there are branches in front of the tree, meaning this is a full-size tree. It was over 40 feet tall. We have other photos when the tree is actually fully, in bloom with its leaves.
Mm-hmm.
These are trees behind the hill, and here's another tree there. And so this object was shown to be clearly behind the tree, large, 21 foot, 23 foot in diameter, something like that.
Right.
I've been on this road here. The log pile was gone when I was there, but taken back in 75, 76, where craft was hovering over here. This is a real location. I've went with a friend of mine where we even did some measurements to find out if it could have been a photograph of a small model, and it couldn't have been for many reasons. We go through a lot of this when in, online, and
right.
Here's another one over the countryside. These, here's 4 of them.
Right. Yeah. Are they different models or different shapes they have?
Yeah, some of them are. And this
different-
was an early one from 1964, taken in India. This is one of the photographs that caught the interest initially of the former USAF, OSI, and Department of Defense investigator supervisor. He was highly rated investigator. He was a skeptic when he contacted me. He thought it was a hoax. And then he came to other conclusions. And he basically came forward and he took on some skeptics of the case and demolished their arguments very quickly. Posted a beautiful article on my site, so how anybody can determine the truth of the Meier contacts for themselves. Astronaut Gordon Cooper authenticated Meier's photos.
Right. Yeah,
So,
I read that.
Skeptics, they're nowhere. These are there's a person down here in the bottom. Now, this person was observing these 8. They appeared more like what we call the lights in the sky photos that people chase after rather than the clear ones.
Right.
This was in India, 64. There are a dozen remaining photos from the 80. Here, this photo, and I was there when we filmed and took the camera right up to it. Billy Meier is wearing a hat. He's sitting in front. In the distance is a spire from one of the buildings on the property in Ashram. He's sitting here cross-legged. I thought when I was approaching the photo that it was like somebody painted something on it or used adhesive tape. It isn't. It's a hologram. 1964, the first known hologram ever photographed.
Really?
Yep, you've got the clouds partially in front of it here.
Yeah. Who did that hologram?
This was a hologram was projected by the woman who had the craft that we saw in the couple preceding photos. Her name was Asket. She still is in contact with Meier. These were taken in India and for very specific reasons pertaining to Meier's former personalities going back hundreds and even thousands of years who were in contact with these people, with these Pleiaren extraterrestrials, and why they use certain places. So she was the pilot of this craft, and she generated that image, that hologram that you saw. This is one of the extraterrestrials whose face is cut off in his study, holding what is for them a 600-year-old antique laser type weapon. And they don't show their faces for certain reasons, but they're human beings like we are.
I thought they were blonde, but they're brunette.
They are people with blondish hair, brownish hair, black hair, people that we would recognize as looking Asian or looking Middle Eastern or looking Negroid.
Right.
In their federation, there are people of many and more skin colors than we have, greenish tinges and all sorts of things. But we're not quite ready for that yet. We're keeping the racists busy just by letting them know that they're, Asian and Negroid extraterrestrials who've been space travelers longer than we've been civilized.
Wow. So how old is this civilization? Do you know? You have an idea how old?
I'm sorry, I missed that. How old?
How old is this civilization, the humanoids?
They go back, their forefathers have been around for literally millions of years space traveling, millions. They live much longer than we do. They are just infinitely more developed, but they are connected to us historically through certain events in the past. And we can jump back to any of that you want. I'm just, hitting these photos for the Audience, here's,
I see another stealth with a,
yeah.
with a
And we examine, and I'll show you something that we found out about this stealth too, but look at these photos. And these were taken not by Billy. They were taken by the lead investigator, Lieutenant Colonel Wendell Stevens. Nobody knew it. I didn't know it until I discovered these, sent them to Switzerland, and then they sent back and they said, here's what we learned. These are, Wendell took him. He was at Groom Lake, Area 51.
oh, okay.
The ET brought him there, time travel. I mean, this is just amazing. Actually, we think that there's another, perhaps 2 chase planes that are kind of in the clouds here, farther back. And this is the main stealth.
Okay,
I'll show you.
They were actually chasing this UFO because they thought it was intruding into the airspace.
Well, it came up on radar. They knew it would. That's why Wendell was there. They told him, get ready. You're going to take some photographs. This is a top secret U.S. plane. Nobody knew about it.
Right.
Here's again where we think there's one of the other planes.
Right.
So look at these.
How do they maintain themselves going at the great amount of speeds that these craft travel, and they're humanoids? How do they stay all together?
Well,
busting up in pieces with all the gravity and the pull that,
the gravity inside the craft is the same. It would feel like you or I right now are sitting in a stable room. They're not subject to the primitive technology we are still dealing with.
I see.
They use for millions of years. They've had anti-gravity. I mean, this is not. Oops. So these are. I just go back to it. We discovered other things that I'll show you in a moment about these stealth crafts that further authenticate. So this is unprecedented stuff.
These stealth craft, they were in Switzerland at the time?
No, this is here, Groom Lake. These were top secret.
Okay. All right.
We had took photos, were analyzed, and so there's just more and more of these photos. I'm gonna look at the detail here.
Yeah.
This is some form of a lens. These are crystalline, red, green, blue, clearish crystals that are on the surface. There's machining here, and furthermore, this is not a one-armed man who's a genius metallurgist.
Right.
This is why people have either never heard about Meier or it's a hoax, because they have never had this brought to their attention. So I'm going to get off that part, and I'll show you some pictures.
The pictures do look like they could be computer generated today, but back then,
yeah, except actually they haven't even been able to make them as have the same qualities. Yes, you can come close, but between 64 and 81, folks,
right,
there were
we didn't have that kind of
computers. And Billy Meier and his one arm in Switzerland didn't have any either. I'm just going to show you something in your audience real briefly here. This is a follow-up. We have more detailed information being investigated all the time. This is a photo found online, signed by the stealth pilot, the test pilot, Hal Farley, 18th of June, 1981. But look at this plane. It's not black, is it?
No, it's a
camouflage. Here's the photo blown up that we just were looking at in the Meier material. Do you notice something about that? That's not black either.
No.
The photos in Meier's photos, I don't know what was gone wrong there. We'll have to bring that up again. But the photos from Meier, this here is this.
Yeah, it is.
Meier's, Lieutenant Colonel Wendell Stevens photographed the top secret stealth plane. And this is blow-ups of the UFO. And there we have a Kodak guy who authenticated. Yep, there's 2 objects in the photos. Yes, they're from 1980. We checked the Kodak information on the back. I mean, we're just way ahead of all this. And that's why the folks are still thinking that Lou Elizondo is somehow giving them important information. It's utter nonsense. And of course, people that are wound up with ufology have nothing better to do than to be focusing on that nonsense.
Yeah, I've been feeling that for some time now. Dr. Greer is also involved with a lot of stuff, and they think he's for real, but I think he's playing both sides of the fence, isn't he?
Well, he's supposedly a former, I love that, counterintelligence guy. Do
Right.
you know any former counterintelligence people? That suddenly pop up to, what do you say, deal with the most important topic in human history, the possible existence of extraterrestrials.
Right.
This is utter nonsense, and people fall for this stuff. And I have a video on. I could, in a moment, I tell you, in a moment. Let me just see something here. Maybe if your folks want to see
Oh,
something.
they people love to see. It's a visual type of thing. They love to see
All right,
air,
then I'm going to show you
what move,
something.
ETs, anything you got. I'm
Okay.
really into this. I'm watching and I'm listening.
All right, you're going to see something that may surprise some folks here, and I'm going to explain it. Let's see here. Okay, I'm going to share a screen again in a moment if I can find my connections here. Hold on. Get that down. I probably just have to find out how to get back to the Zoom. My Zoom page disappears from
Yes, it does.
site.
Yeah, this is not a perfect science, I don't think.
No, I'm afraid not. Let me see. I'll tell you what I'm going to explain to you. Good. Here we are. So I'm going to share a screen again.
All right.
And let's see what we can get to come up here. Whiteboard. Want to see where everything is. Yes, here we go. And I'm going to explain to you what you're about to see. I have called Lou Elizondo out since he first popped on the scene. I call him a liar. I call him a traitor.
Did you
A
meet him
traitor
face to face or what?
No, if I could, I would tell him to his face. I have used his own words against him. He's always going to tell the truth, except that he doesn't. And he's a traitor to the truth and to humankind. All right, a lot of stuff here. So let's go here. So I have a video here where I'm chattering away at Lou Elizondo, and I came back. And now you're about to see, I'll start to roll this, and let's see if we can get a full screen here. Now, you know who that is? That's a man named Sean Cahill. Sean Cahill is supposedly also a former Navy something or other, maybe intelligence, what have you.
Mm-hmm.
In the background, while Sean isn't going to speak and he's raising his finger, and I'll go back so you can hear the first second, that is me calling out Lou Elizondo. Watch and listen and watch. And shortly after putting out this blog, we found out that Lou Elizondo is missing to have been abducted, possibly by evil. Watch. Now, Lou Elizondo is in the car listening to me call him out as a liar. Watch. There he is.
Yeah.
There now. Right? Any question about that? That's me in the background calling out Lou Elizondo while we have Sean Cahill in the front. And they are just laughing about it because this is a disinfo op. He sent me the video. He didn't know I'm going to post that sucker.
Yeah, this guy was making faces like he was aware of what was going on. Yeah.
Of course he's aware.
Yeah.
He knows they're listening to me call out Lou. That's me in the background.
Right.
And then Lou waves. So if any of the good folks have a doubt that they're being played by Lou Elizondo, do you have any doubts? You're being played by Lou Elizondo and these phonies. And he's not the only one. Hold on.
Right.
Let's see if I can.
I've always felt that. I just, this disclosure thing is just a trickle, you know.
It's yes. Here, let's see. I'm looking for where I did it. We have, let me just see, because I have so much stuff. I wrote this, are we supposed to believe there's a 70-year-long threat, but we've never been attacked while we didn't have any technology like we have now? 70 years ago, it's a threat. This is all nonsense.
That was
But
70 years, and that 70 years has expired, right?
yeah, well, look, it means that when the government says for 70 years, we've known about this and there's a threat, there's no threat if people with this kind of technology have been here for 70 years and haven't attacked us. It means it's a lie. And then we give a committee 6 months to figure it out. Oh, we're really worried. We're telling the committee, hey, you guys take 6 months to see what you can come up with,
Right.
because we're under threat from an ET attack. Come on. So here's Lou Elizondo's own pledge. I will always tell you the truth, own my own mistakes, treated with respect, no abuse or hatred. I'll always push for full disclosure. So I said to him, I posted things on Twitter and all over. Give us your assessment of the Billy Meier contacts. Make public statements about the contacts. Let us know regarding your own, stuff here.
Right.
Let us know if we're missing something. What is it? Where is it? And Lou Elizondo refused. When I asked him, and I've got it all over Twitter, I always tell the truth. And I said to him, what's the truth about Billy Meier case? He would never respond. So all of you people that are impressed with Lou Elizondo and his BS, well, I've got some more stuff for you. Hold on. Because he's not alone.
I'm glad.
I'm sorry?
I'm glad I got you on as a guest.
I'm glad to be here. And by the way, I don't have anything against him. I have a feeling that he'd be a fun guy to hang out with. He's the kind of guy, but he's a liar and he's misleading anybody who falls for this. Now, okay, so let's see if this is it. Oh yeah, okay. So we have to really, there's issues here about Lou Elizondo. Let me see if I have already been to that page for you. Yeah, we just showed that. Okay, so here's the thing.
Mellon, yeah, he was a government guy through and through.
He comes from an enormously wealthy banking family.
Right.
He's been involved in the defense and intelligence agencies and government agencies and interests for a long time. Now, he went on Joe Rogan. And I'll tell you something, I'll give you Joe Rogan full story in a minute, but Joe Rogan, he's talking to Joe Rogan. There's a video clip online. I don't know where it is now. And somehow they mention I think Rogan says Swedish guy and Mellon says, you mean the Swiss guy. Oh yeah, that's right. So I found Christopher Mellon and I wanted to make sure he knew. I found him and I sent him an email online. Chris, and I sent him Astronaut Cooper. I sent him, all this stuff, scientific experts, Joe Tisk, right? Here's the Joe Tisk stuff. And he writes, exactly, I was having a senior moment. That means he knows Billy Meier's real. He knows Billy Meier's real. There's no two ways about it. This gets better. If you can think it gets better.
Michael, why do you believe that why did they come to Billy Meier? Was there some kind of attraction they had for him since he was 5 years old?
I can give you, as I said in the very beginning, according to the information in the case. That means that there are things in here that I can prove, and there's things that I can't prove or disprove because it's information that either goes to the far distant past or the unarrived future, and things that, how could we know? So here's your answer. According to the information in the case, Billy Meier is the 7th prophet / contactee. This goes back about 13,500 years in this world. The first contactee in this chain, Enoch, also known as Hanok in German.
Right.
Enoch, Elijah, Isaiah, Jeremiah, the name Emmanuel, which I'll explain later, and actually Muhammad, who was not a child rapist and all this stuff that they try to make him out to be, and Billy. Each of those persons were genuine contact people with these Pleiaren. They were contacted for a very specific purpose, to help get humankind back on a evolutionary path where we would learn how to think straight, we would take responsibility for our own lives. Now, why would they worry about that? Well, these are time travelers. They knew that people on Earth were going to give away their power. They would be creating religions and politics. They also knew that their own forefathers and other advanced extraterrestrials who'd been here in the past represented themselves as the gods of our worlds and set people in a path of worshiping beings outside of themselves who were always, 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 and only more powerful and advanced human beings.
Right.
Now, I can come back to that. And I will, before I leave, that also tell you, I said Enoch, Elijah, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Emmanuel, which was the real name, according to this material, of a man for whom there is absolutely no actual independent biographical information, that in our religions is called Jesus Christ. His name actually was Emmanuel. And interestingly enough, for people who are scholars in those fields, there's plenty of information here that'll blow your mind, but you go to the Old Testament, and that's Isaiah 7:14, and his name shall be called Emmanuel. You go to the New Testament, Matthew 1:23, one time in each book, 1:23 in Matthew, and his name shall be called Emmanuel. That is part of what is of the core information in this case that constitutes thousands of pages of teaching, instruction, information, but no beliefs, none.
Mm-hmm.
There's no cult, and Billy Meier is not a religious leader, and there isn't one belief in this material anywhere that anybody has ever found. That's also
let's hold that thought, Michael. We're going to take another pause. You're listening to WODY, and that's OdysseyRadio.live. This is Dave Emmons Show, and my special guest today is Michael Horn. And man, are we getting into some interesting stuff. I really appreciate it. And be right back in just a couple of minutes. So we have a third segment and a fourth segment. So we got one more hour to go. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. This is the Dave Emmons Show, WODY Radio, OdysseyRadio.live, and we're syndicated through them, but we're also going to present this video on social media, on Facebook, and all the likes and all the social media that maybe Michael Horn might even have. But the guest, great guest. This is fun. I'm getting into it. I'm almost losing all my timings here because so much great information Michael's got. Michael Horn, go ahead and continue, buddy. I'm listening.
Okay, so we're in a few places here, so to speak. Let me leave for now. But I'll try to give you a little more answer right now for people on the question why Billy Meier. What's said about the 6 previous prophets and Billy is that, according to the laws of reincarnation, which we cannot prove or disprove, we either think it's true, believe it's true, think it's not true, don't believe it, whatever. Pleiaren say reincarnation is a fact of life. The same spirit in the previous contact people in new incarnations evolving is the spirit that animates Billy Meier. They chose him because this is the oldest, most knowledgeable spirit that's incarnating as a human being. And we will learn not to judge people just by how we view their appearance, because Billy Meier is light years beyond anybody on the planet in terms of knowledge. And I laugh and say that because it's painfully true.
Did he know a lot about mathematics and that type of thing?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, they have things such as this, the speed of the expansion of the universe at the Big Bang. They have mathematical stuff. They know the exact number of actual people on the planet and the at this time, which is approaching 10 billion, not 7. It's the core problem because we're going to actually overpopulate ourselves out of existence. And no, they don't advocate that we should kill ourselves off. And no, everything isn't a plan from the evil elite, you know, all these conspiracies that people poison their poor brains with. There are real conspiracies. There are evil people. There are, some of them are the elite, but there's a lot of stuff that all of the people that dabble and babble in conspiracies know nothing about, and they could straighten their thinking out. So for a moment, I covered Chris Mellon. I covered the Lou Elizondo briefly here. I'm going to go to somebody else for a moment who's started to participate in this horrible, you know, scam, who I've spoken to, actually had a conversation with him. And I'll show you who that is.
What do these ETs think about our politics and our religion?
Well, you've asked, I'll give it to you in one word, and then I can always make it a little more palatable.
All right.
Both are insane. They're illogical. They're make-believe. They only pit people against each other. They never bring peace, either one of them. They only contribute to the damage that we are doing. And I can go, I put out a video myself, a short video that said, let's see. Yeah. A short video that said, let's see if I've got it here. Oh, no, that's not it. I've got so many videos. I put out a video called Politics Makes People Stupid. It does, because once people are involved with politics, they are terminally trapped in having to defend and only endorse things that are coming from that side of politics.
Right.
You understand? It's just illogical. So we are, I'll give you a hint here because this goes to the prophecies. Going back to 1981 and 87, Billy Meier specifically foretold 2 coming U.S. civil wars. 2 coming. And I laughed when I read the first 81. It was in 86 I saw him. Right. I laughed. I thought, what's this guy about? Civil war in America? We march closer to it every day, every single day.
Yeah.
The new, you know, and the new ruling from the Supreme Court further. And I'm not taking a side on that because I put out a blog about it. I put out a blog years ago on how to resolve the abortion issue, simply by understanding what's in the Meier material and thinking about it. And I even put up a song I wrote in 1988.
Yeah.
I mean, we are so lost with people at each other's throats. They're so pathetic how stupidly we have, you know, gone into this. So, okay, so here's a video.
Is there an evil? Do they talk about an evil or reptilian ETs? Are they evil?
There's no reptilians on the planet, and there are all sorts and forms of human beings that have different forms, even insectoid. There's a lot of them. None of them are here, and they're not living, you know, under the surface waiting to take over. There are other races that live under the surface. Billy's explained it. We've got blogs explaining it. We even show in our ancient history what these people look like, because they were rulers in Egypt and other places for a time. Now some of them live underground. Mm-hmm. This reptilian thing is just more mind rot to get people fearful instead of looking for their liberation in their thinking. So I'll come back to that. Let me just show you something here with Daniel Sheehan. It's a live call. Let me see, get over here. And I was just chattering away. Billy Meier in Switzerland. And hold it. This is where I wanted to go. I talked to Danny Sheehan. Just for people who don't know, Daniel Sheehan is somebody who did remarkable work on behalf of the people of the country. He was instrumental in things pertaining to, just all the Nixon era stuff. He fought for human rights. He stood up for all sorts of great cases.
Right.
But I contacted him because he became Lou Elizondo's attorney. He's dabbled himself, Danny Sheehan, in the UFO field. So here's about 10 seconds of what you'll need to know right here.
Think you know of named Billy Meier in Switzerland.
Here comes Danny.
And okay.
I know Billy Meier. Yeah.
Yes.
Daniel Sheehan.
Right.
Daniel Sheehan is the attorney for the world-class lying disinformation agent, Lou Elizondo.
Oh, okay.
Sheehan knows the Billy Meier material. And at the end of this conversation, I won't take everybody through it. It's available online. Write me, I'll show you where it is. I offered to send him a whole ton of stuff. I said, but I've got too much. He says, no, more is better. As much as you can, send it to me. I did. Never heard a word from
Really?
Mel. Never heard a word back from Elizondo. These people have been, well, now Sheehan is clearly bought out. Clearly now just a shill for disinformation. A good guy who, for whatever reason, maybe it's the money, I don't know.
Are they getting paid by the government, Michael?
I don't know. I don't have evidence about that. I can just tell you and show you what I know and what I think and what anybody can determine for themselves. What we have here is the singularly authentic, still ongoing UFO contacts in Switzerland and all of the rest of this BS, all of it. If you can tell me that you know of one person in ufology, one, who has one photograph as clear as Billy Meier's hundreds, one film or video as clear as Billy Meier's, one bit of specific, uniquely significant and previously unknown prophetic, anything, please do. Because, folks, you are being lied to and played for such suckers. And why? Well, I'm going to explain why. And I'm going to show it to you in a funny way.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got all these, to all the patriots, real and fake. A lot of people running around claiming they're patriots. Really?
Yeah.
You put up with a lot of stuff for people that are patriots. You don't care about your fellow citizens. You want to fight with them all the time.
Right.
So hold on. I'm going to go to I have 1,600 articles on this blog in every category you can think about. I'm just going to go to this one. Well, I think I'll go to this one first. It's right over here, down here. Let's see.
No, I spent some time with a humanoid ET alien, and she was of Japanese descent.
Could be. I don't get involved in yay or nay about other claims. I want to see evidence because I if there are other things that are other contexts authentic and people can present the evidence, I'm always interested. That's fine. That's why I don't say, "Oh, that's true," or "You're a liar." No,
yeah, I got pictures of her. Yeah,
I would like to see all that stuff, of course, but we'll visit with that. So here's the thing, and this is why I tell people you're being played so badly. Remember a little while ago I said that there were prophecies about U.S. civil wars, right, and I have them in videos and blogs. Warning, this is coming, people. Warning that the U.S. will cease to be a superpower after 2020. We're on the fast track to that right now with a senile leader and all this, stuff going on.
It's all planned, isn't it?
Well, it's not planned the way a lot of people think it's planned. It's not planned in the sense that, well, I'll get to that. All right, let me see.
You got some interesting information. I'm really getting into this. This kind of helps me piece the puzzle together.
A lot of stuff about the planning, the plans that are afoot are not what people think they are, or from the parties. Some people, you might have some of it right, but the info from the Meier material dating back to the 40s has got all this laid out if people would just not lose their mind. So I'm bringing this up. Okay, this is in a book. and still they fly, where they put the Hanok prophecies. The Hanok prophecies were first published in 81, 87, and here in 2004. Now, here is, make sure I get the right part of this page. Copyright 2004. So what I'm going to tell you here, because some things people say, well, he could have backdated it, like when in the 87 version of this, which is in here in the 2004, he speaks about the destruction of the World Trade Center.
Mm-hmm.
It's right here. People say, well, he obviously backdated it, and I can explain why he didn't backdate it. That's all right. We'll get there. Far in the West, it'll be different. The United States of America will be a country of total destruction. This is a prophecy that I've been working myself pretty hard to try to make not happen since I read it in 1987. The cause is the global conflicts continuously instigated by my mouth word, country. America's creating enormous hatred against her worldwide. We will experience enormous catastrophes, which will reach proportions barely imaginable. People of Earth, the destruction of the WTC by terrorists will be only the beginning. This was originally published in 87, before.
Wow.
Okay, now.
Does Billy have a secretary or somebody who helps him?
No, I'll tell you how he does it all. I'll show you how, but he has people that check it. Here, they mix in lots and lots of the prophetic information. Enormous firestorms and gigantic hurricanes will sweep across the USA and bring devastation. He has more about that. Have you noticed how many fires and firestorms have in the past few years?
Yes.
He had all this in print actually as early as the 50s on the firestorms. But let's go on.
So this is all climate change. Is that what they're saying also?
He was the first person to warn about it. 1951, we have that. So here in this, we have things here. Okay, blah, blah. I want to go back up to the top. Here is stuff that is in the prophecies published in 87. Russia will not rest and will attack. Why? Scandinavia. Why? Those countries have been in neutrality.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what's this?
Yeah.
France will fall. Now, he's already said France, part of the fall of France is going to be to the internal destruction from radical Islam. That's in the prophecies going back to 58. Russia, once France has fallen, Spain and England, there will be a war, an alliance with the forces of the aggressors, which will invade Scandinavia. The aggressors from the east, China is an ally of Russia. Pay attention, people.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They will force the French army to join them and lead a war of conquest against the northern countries of Europe, invading and conquering Scandinavia and Norway. Now, here's the next important one. They will be annexed by Russia. Military forces will also attack Finland. Why do I have this up here? Because, do you remember?
Yeah.
What's in the news? Finland and Sweden are trying to join NATO, and Russia said, don't do that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
We've got no reason to mess with you. Don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now.
That sounds like a Hitler bargain with Russia back in World War II. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Hitler did that with Russia back in World War II. He told them they wouldn't attack.
Well, this is happening very much now. Now, I'm going to go to the next one where people will be able to see something in case they doubt it. By the way, there are people in Zelensky's cabinet in Ukraine who have contacted Meier on several occasions trying to get his help, because what the American people may not know is Zelensky is a Nazi. He's not some poor victim of Russia. This guy is pulling all the strings now. People are going to be, unfortunately, very sadly surprised when this comes to our shores, because we're shoring up a Nazi dictator, literally.
Putin said that's the reason why he attacked.
Yes, Putin and the Russians have been being pushed and pushed since the 90s by the lies from NATO and the US. This is all in here. Zelensky now controls the flow of weapons to Ukraine. Hold on, I'm going to find it. Okay. I think this is it. Is this it? There's so much in here. Oh, this is another one. Okay, I have so much showing that.
Yeah, no, you got
we just overflow here. But wait,
oh.
There's, I know where it is. It's coming up. All right, this is it. Hang in there, folks. You just saw those prophecies about Russia and that it will eventually attack Scandinavia and the US. I didn't go into that, but it's coming. This is stuff about the Russian military moves in the Arctic that worry NATO and the US. Why? Because here's the kicker. It's not only in the here it is. It must still be, this is the Hanok prophecies. Russian attack will occur during the summer, in fact, starting from Arkhangelsk. That's when they're going to go into Scandinavia from Arkhangelsk. Nobody ever heard of it. Okay, hold on.
Yeah,
I'm going to show you.
You're talking a lot of scary stuff here because it's actually going on right now.
It's going, yeah, because it's in the 1987 prophecies. Let's see. I'll show you where it is. Hold on. Can you see all this?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I'll make it even more visible. It must still be stated that the Russian attack will occur during the, it's in here. They're going into the Balkans as well. And guess what, folks? We've got stuff in here about the volcanoes that are going to be erupting and the ones that have, it's already been foretold. Military forces will, we've got it in here. So we go back, hold on, Arkhangelsk. Well, we published that starting as early as 2011. Russian military, I don't want to click on every link. You'll find it's all linked, but here's the kicker. It wasn't written in 1981 or 87. Hanok, that prophet, that contactee, when was he alive? Hold on, I'm going to find it for you here because you need to know. And this is where you might want to forget all the junk that, folks, you have in your heads about UFOs and contacts and prophets, because Hanok was born 9,308 BC. That's 11,000 plus years ago when you add those numbers together. Somewhere around 10,000 years ago or more, Hanok was in contact with the Pleiadian, as was Elijah, Isaiah, Jeremiah, et cetera, and those prophecies or predictions were gained through his own abilities plus time travel with the Pleiadian. We have them, and we post the 87 date because most people won't be able to handle the whole thing on this. And so here's another kicker.
Well, the ancient prophets of the Old Testament, they live for 300 or 400 years. Do these ETs live that long?
They live 900 to 1,200 years for the most part. Depends on certain things. So maybe this is the last one I want to show you in this series, if I got the right one. Ah, yes. Here we go. Now, this is very important. It's also in the same book of, where is that? The 2004 book. It's in the Hanok prophecies. Remember all this stuff, natural catastrophes, the whole thing about America, and here. Now, I have to find the one other one. It came after this. I've got so much stuff here that I do get a little lost in my own site at times.
Yeah, I see with the astronaut.
But the point is that the prophecies, the last prophecy in the Hanok prophecies that was in that book was the danger was that Switzerland, known for neutrality, was going to give up its neutrality, which would mean that Switzerland would also end up being dragged into war and would be attacked eventually, etc., etc., etc. So,
Will there be a nuclear war, Michael, that you understand?
Very close to happening. Unfortunately, it's been prevented for decades.
Right.
They managed because people were, really, what do you call it? People were learning how to push back, avoid a lot of these things that would be critically, dangerous and lead to a world war. We weren't provoking Russia. And then our government started to provoke it. And Meier started to warn specifically, we have a video on it, 2015 or 2016, don't provoke Russia.
Right.
Don't provoke Russia, because what's described in those Henoch prophecies, what's described in there is that our country is going to end up, we're going to end up getting into a nuclear and other, Meier has already predicted the other kinds of weapons that will be involved in all of that. I'm just scrolling at the same time to see if I can find that one thing, because it's just so many places. And we will find a nuclear war. We will have our country attacked with weather weapons. There will be AI used against us, lasers, computer type of stuff.
Yeah, that's happening.
Yeah, it's just, we really don't have any sense, with all this crazy warmongering, what we're bringing down on ourselves.
Now, will the ETs, will they intervene and stop a nuclear war?
No. They would only do it if there was something that actually threatened the complete destruction of the planet. That would be another matter.
No, so they know we're going to destroy ourselves. Is that right?
They know that we are running pretty close to that, and that there are some other advanced beings, as I said, on the planet and underneath the planet, who I'm going to have to find out of the thing. I mean, there's so much in here. What are we going to do? These are actual Ukrainian soldiers who are denouncing Zelensky and calling for help, which of course they'll have to do it themselves. But suffice it to say, I mean, we have so much and it's all free. People can see it. And there are ways that people could help if they wanted to. But we are faced with the fulfillment of these prophecies because they've been suppressed and hidden from us by the liars, the filthy liars in ufology, the intelligence agencies. And I'll name these people. You've got the Stephen Greers and David Wilcock and Corey Good and
all the talking heads, right?
All the talking, Corbell and George Knapp, all the people that know the Meier case is real, by the way, every one of them. I personally offered the material to Stephen Greer in front of an audience 18 years ago. These people are just in it for the money, for their own egos, and whatever. They place all that.
Are they getting paid by the government too for disinformation?
There are people in there that clearly are on a paycheck from someone. Lunatics like Michael Salla, who is utterly delusional lunatic, Stephen Bassett, people who have no visible means of support that manage to go around and spread their garbage freely.
You know, I ran into several of those, Michael. You remember you said that there's no top secret and military intelligence people that are retired, they keep working, and they do. I mean,
Yeah.
I ran into several guys like that, and they said they retired from their agency. No, I don't think so. I'm just something like you. We're going to take another short pause. You're back in. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes to take in the last segment with Michael Horn, and he's got some amazing predictions and amazing things about ET.